So, Benjamin, let's just talk a little bit about our why. Why Good Measure Coffee? Why did you even approach me about starting a coffee company?
So, to be honest, I love coffee. It's something I drink every day.
Yeah.
It's something we drink even in the afternoon. I like coffee because it brings people together. A lot of times you have people that are going for a job interview and they're like, hey, let's meet at the coffee shop, or you're going on your first date. You could be starting a business like we were, and we're talking over coffee and we're like, hey, this is a good thing that brings people together, and it's something that we used every day. I think one of the problems we ran into though was we drink coffee every day, but it was the same boring flavors all the time.
Yeah, we come, we get a pod of anything they sell us at a big box store, and we're like, pop it in. Ugh, how much creamer can we get it? So we weren't looking for a good cup of coffee. We were looking for our next best creamer flavor.
Absolutely,
because we were always going to the store and trying to figure out what can we add. Can we blend in butter? Can we whatever we can figure out to make it taste
And it
better.
wasn't really a healthy option, because you have the coffee, which is okay, but then you're doing almost half a cup of creamer. And at that point, it's like, okay.
That's a lot of fat. That's a lot of sugar.
I guess that'll be my breakfast for the day.
Yeah, really. And if you go to some of those big chain coffee shops, if you look at the calories, it's 600 calories,
Right.
800 calories. Some of those specialty with whipped cream, 1,200 calories. And you're like, that's a whole day's worth of food for some people. So that didn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
So we were sick of boring coffee, sick of masking it with a lot of calories. And we actually were starting another business that we own. And the coffee kind of came along because we were drinking a lot of coffee during that time. An online sales business. So let's just talk a little bit about how we picked the flavor that would go, the blend that would go under our flavors. So we started to call different roasters, ask them questions, right?
Right. And we were looking for a coffee that was a little bit mild and
like lower acid.
Right.
We weren't trying to be like that perfect coffee for somebody that had stomach problems or health issues. Just a regular healthy cup of coffee, but at the same time that it would be well liked by most people. And we found that medium roast was that roast that a majority of people tend to like. And then we were looking for somebody who blended. So what are the 3 countries that our blend comes from?
So Guatemala, Colombia, and Brazil. And so taking it from these different places, you get the beans after you roast them and grind them up, and you mix them together, and this gives more of a kind of a central blend and kind of an overall
like a balanced flavor.
Balanced flavor.
Yeah. So we were thinking, where can we find this balanced flavor that's not bitter, that's not harsh, and that we could be willing to drink black.
Right.
So we liked what we came up with first, right? What were our 2 flavors?
Our Southern Pecan, and then our Central Blend, which was just that base coffee that we started with.
Yeah, and Southern Pecan, our whole family loves pecan,
Absolutely.
pecan pie, pecan whatever.
And I think that's kind of where we started off, is we loved the Central Blend, which was kind of just that base coffee. And then when we smelt the Southern Pecan, we were like, wow, this is incredible. Like, I wonder if there are other flavors out there that we could do that would be great to drink black, or if someone prefers adding in some creamer or whatever else.
Right. And so you like tea. I hate tea. I won't touch tea ever. Like if somebody makes me tea, I literally can barely choke it down. But we both liked iced coffee.
Right.
And again, going back to the health thing, every iced coffee we know of it goes 2 ways. Either it's pure black with ice and there's nothing about it, or it's sugary, creamery, and it's got this much whipped cream on it.
Right.
That sprinkles and caramel, and you shake it at the bottom. So we were like, that's a lot. And the other way is really boring. And going back to boring, we started to say, well, let's get back to some flavors that we like in our real life. And we like fruit, we like things like that. We didn't want a vegetable coffee.
Right.
That'd be disgusting. So then we started looking at our Latino roots and trying to think what flavors could we do. So we started researching flavors. So talk a little bit about the flavors that we have right now.
A couple of, again, those fruit flavors that we prefer ice, but are also good just brewed hot. It's the pineapple mango, the guava, and then
Pina colada. So when we got to go to our roaster, they set up a time. They had ordered our flavors and roasted it to perfection, grind it so that we would get the most flavor out of it. We got to taste it hot. We got to add some cream, some sugars, some different things, and we were fascinated that we could come up with pineapple mango coffee. Sure, there's pineapple mango tea, but now we had done pineapple mango, and when we do research, we don't see anybody doing that just yet.
Absolutely.
So those were things we liked, especially living in Florida. We love tropical fruit and having access to really exotic fruits. So, you know, it's hard to get a mango where we're from in Colorado and New Mexico in the middle of winter.
Right, and I think it's important just to say, like, obviously these flavors, at first glance, you're like, well, that's a little weird. I don't know if I'm willing to try that. But I think it definitely just adds, you know, it's not overwhelming. It's kind of a slight hint on top of a well-blended coffee. And so I think it just gives it a little bit extra. And I think with the fruit flavors, it kind of takes away from any bitter taste that you would have normally gotten from a coffee and just...
Yeah, and you know, we sometimes when we're out, because we are in Florida and it's hot, so if it's time to cut the grass or just sit out on the porch, we'll drink tea. I'll drink it iced. I won't want to be mean about that, but I just really hate it hot. But now we can put our coffee with iced and maybe a little bit of sweetener if we feel like it, and all of a sudden it's a more concentrated flavor, and yet it gives you that caffeine kick. But it's not watered down and gross. And then we really said, well, where can we go with some of our favorite Hispanic flavors? So I love churros. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't love a churro. Right. You go to Disneyland or to the fair and you can have a churro. I've, you know, enjoyed them my whole life. But habanero chocolate raspberry, when you hear habanero, who do you think of?
My grandfather. And so him and I, we really like hot stuff. And so I think that's kind of one of the things that caught our eye is just, you know, that word itself. But my mom doesn't like hot things particularly. And so when we tried this coffee, we were glad that it's not spicy, it's not overwhelming, but it does leave, you know, a flavor in your mouth. It does, you know, on your tongue, on the roof of your mouth. It's something that will last, you know, a good little bit. And so I think the mix between the habanero and the chocolate raspberry, but in the past I've tried different chocolate bars or something like that. If you've ever tried and gotten them for Christmas, sometimes they have them seasonal. And so I thought that was definitely an excellent thing to try.
Because you can get a chili chocolate bar, you know, some of those chocolate brands. But what I thought was interesting is during the actual flavor testing, when we because all of this, it starts with the scent, the aroma really. You open the bag and you smell it, and you can smell the pina colada, you can smell the habanero and the chocolate and the raspberry. It's just warm. The churro is so cinnamony. But when we tasted this, I could feel the heat of the chili, like in my senses, even though I didn't taste hot chili, I could feel it like here, and then the chocolate and the raspberry like warmed it up, but it kind of sweetened it. Right. And I thought this would be so great for people who like to work out in the morning before they go to work, and they just need a little bit of that caffeine plus a little bit of metabolism heat. Now, I'm not making health claims like, oh, it's gonna rev up your metabolism. But when you eat hot chili or something, you feel yourself sweat a little bit, and it gave me that feeling. And so I thought, that's cool. That's a kind of an added bonus to getting to taste an exciting flavor. So that's really, you know, between our Southern Pecan and these, and the Central Blend and then these 5 flavors, we're just really on the hunt for a really delicious cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
And sharing it with our friends that we have now and those we haven't met yet.